Hi, welcome to episode 135 of the PassioKnit Spinning podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and Instagram. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast. Please come over, join. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for all the nice comments I got last week. Not last week. 3 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks ago. I took a deliberate break from podcasting because I just needed one. And yeah, thank you so much for everyone who got in touch with me. I ended my podcast last time with saying that I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue podcasting or if it was maybe time for me to stop because, I reached the end of my second book of show notes. This is it. This is what my show notes look like for a week, and it's the last page. And I did get a third book. So the podcast will continue as long as I enjoy it. And I do enjoy doing this podcast, so I'm going to continue. I brought also my first book. This was the first one where I had in the beginning the little cards in so you could, read everything about it. And this was the second. And the third one is going to look like this. The problem is I have, I started writing show notes in this book because I had it laying around. And it is a completely blank notebook, no lines, no grid, nothing. And as I had started it this way, I wanted to continue that way. Finding an A4 blank notebook, not easy. Especially not if you don't want to spend like 25 euros on one. So I'm not sure yet if this is going to work really because it's a sketchbook, so the pages are quite thick. But yeah, it's not important, is it? Absolutely not important. So please go over here. My podcast is not back. I didn't take a long break. It was 3 weeks. It was a needed break. It made me realize what I actually want and what I do not want. And so yeah, I'm back. And now I'm going to start talking about the knitting because this is why we are here. I am wearing my first thing for knitting in the past. It's the Penguono by Stephen West. It is amazing. I did not bring the project bag with the leftover yarn because I forgot, but I'm going to stand up and show you what it looks like. So yes, I am wearing joggers, but I made them myself. So, let's do it like this. So this is the Penguono. It's supposed to look like that. No, open front. No, this one needs to go further down. No, here we go. It's an open front, short sleeve, throw on cardigan. And I'm going to try to show you the back. Back looks like this. It is so much fun to knit. So much fun. Because everything you do is in short sections. You start off with something, and then when that something starts to get boring, you do something completely different. And it's just, the construction of this is amazing. The feel of it is amazing. Now I have a frog in my throat. Great. I am a very tight knitter. So I knit this with sock yarn held double and a 5mm needle, which should have ended up in having a very overweight, oversized cardigan that's super long and super cozy. And it didn't. It ended up being the way it is, and I'm really happy with that because now it just fits so well. So I used two different yarns from Drops. I used Drops brushed alpaca silk for the most bits of the cardigan, and I used Drops Nord for everything else. It was a gray, and I held that gray with hand-dyed scraps. The only exceptions were where I only held hand-dyed yarn was for the welts in the back, for these strips under the arm, and for the I-cord. That is it. Everything else I held the gray with the hand-dyed yarn together to make it look a bit more muddled down. After I finished the cardigan, it would have been, here. It would have ended here. And it ended here because I ran out of the brushed alpaca silk like 10 stitches before the end of the row. I had, I think, 5 skeins, and I used up every last bit of it. And then I added a 2-color brioche border to that because I want to knit the Flying Foxtail shawl by Stephen West, which is a 2-color brioche shawl with pattern to it. And I've only ever done brioche once in the shoulder bits of the Night Nook sweater, also by Stephen West. So I added a 2-color brioche border that is an option in the pattern as well. So I just added that after the actual border that I decided on doing first to make it a bit longer and to also practice 2-color brioche because I'm not good at that. It's super easy to do, you know, just the straight lines. I have no idea yet how to move those lines, but I will find out. And it's actually really fun to learn something new because when it comes to knitting, I've been knitting for so long and I'm quite good at a lot of things, but you know, learning something completely new that I've never done before doesn't happen a lot anymore when knitting. I know that sounds super cocky, but you know, I've been a knitter for over 20 years now, so you learn a lot in 20 years. But brioche, it's just new. It's new to me and it's fun to learn new stuff. So back to my sweater. I knit this whole thing on a 5mm needle. That's a US 8, and that's what the pattern calls for. Yeah, I love this. Weaving in the ends took 2.5 hours. Not so much fun, but I don't care. This is gorgeous. I will wear this a lot. But the thing is, as I use the alpaca yarn, this thing is so warm that I will only get it to wear it when it's really cold out, which it isn't today. So I'm going to melt a bit while podcasting, but I'm going to leave it on because I really like it. When I took pictures for Instagram, I put a shawl pin in here because you can really just easily put a shawl pin in. I asked my husband if I should do a loop and a button, and he said, no, don't. Just use one of your pins. You know, you have those for a reason as well. I'm sorry, I have no idea where this is coming from because I'm not sick, you know. Okay, now back to the other things that I finished. The penguino, I started, I think, in April. And I finished that much of the back, and that was it. And then it just languished because of, you know, other new exciting things. And after finishing the penguino for my son, I really wanted to have my own. So I dug it back out and knit monogamously on this thing. Nothing else got touched. And I realized how good it felt to get things off the needles that have been on the needles for a while. So I decided to dig out some older UFOs. The first one was the Evenstar shawl by Susan Pandorf. And I did not bring a pattern and I did not bring a picture, but it is a gigantic circular shawl. And I love the look of it. And I had started one, you know. But the thing is, I realized that I would probably never wear it because it's maybe too intricate and you know, a circular shawl. I just don't know how to wear that. And the other thing is the yarn that I used is too scratchy because I used a lace weight yarn from Fisher Wolle called Fisher Wolle Rosita, and I did not bring it because it's a cone of gray yarn, you know, you can't see anything anyways. So it's a 75-25 sock yarn mixture, but in a lace weight, and it's not soft. So, you know, I have no idea like that in the first place. I'm pretty sure I did because it was very cheap yarn. And when I started this in 2011, I was still a student teacher and didn't have lots of money for yarn. So it seemed like a good idea back then. I knit the first 2 charts. No, I knit the first chart. I knit 1 chart and the center, and that's it. So I dug it back out. And on Instagram, not on Instagram, on Ravelry, I looked through and a lot of people have done amazing things with this pattern, you know, like leaving out stuff in the middle and using just the outer bits and make skirts with it and dresses and beautiful stuff. But one person had the same problem I had. because she decided that it wasn't for her. And I took a screenshot of her thing. So she took this slice of a tree and put her evenstar inside of that. And I really wanted to do that. So I got a slice of a tree. But that slice is so pretty, and it also ended up being too small because, you know, when I cut out the stuff, it just didn't work out. So I decided to leave that as it is, as decoration. And my mom suggested getting embroidery hoop. And that's what I did. And this is it. I got this embroidery hoop. It's a 30 centimeter embroidery hoop. That's 12 inches. And that's the Evenstar shawl, or the beginning of the Evenstar shawl by Susan Pandorf. I took pictures on Instagram where you can see it a bit better. Like I said, this is a beautiful, beautiful shawl. It is centered around this lace motif here, behind, right around my fur, which is based on the Evenstar necklace. It is a necklace that Arwen has in the Lord of the Rings movies, and also in the books, but you know. So yeah, that's my Evenstar shawl. That's how far I got. I knit on this for 2 days, and then I put it in a bag for 8 years. And then I took it out and I knit 2 more rows, so I have enough fabric to put in between the 2 wood panel thingies here. And that's it. It's done. It's going to go up in my reading room because I want to see this on a daily basis, because I think it turned out really pretty, you know. It's gorgeous. I love it. And it's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of knitting. So, you know, you can get a circular shawl or doily pattern and make something like this. And this was actually the tree thing, not my idea. I told you that. I showed you. And the embroidery hoop doily combination, it's not my idea either. First of all, my mom suggested it. And second of all, there's millions of pictures of things like this up on Pinterest. So yeah, it's lots of people have had this idea. So that's it. It's done. And now I have to put it somewhere where I don't kill it. Oh, I'm going to put it up here. So next up, I also took out another long languishing UFO, and it's a pair of socks. I have a problem with socks with a pattern to it because they just take me a very long time to finish. Because when I knit socks, I want them to be plain vanilla, no thinking, no brain involved, just knit and do it. And you know, I have sweaters and other stuff on the needles that takes up brain power. So my socks are my go-to wanna knit, don't wanna think project. So whenever I start a pair of socks with a pattern to it, it takes forever because I'm taking away that no-brainy bit of the project. So yeah, these socks don't look that spectacular from this side, I know, but there is more to these. I started them, I do not know when actually, because I did not set up a project page on Ravelry, which is weird because I usually do that. So I'm thinking probably 3 years ago, because I know that Tim was already here. That I'm quite sure of. And I did have this podcast because I'm pretty sure I showed them on the podcast before. So the yarn that I used is another Fischerwolle yarn, Fischerwolle Feinstrumpf, and it's just this gray, dark gray, nothing special. And I use these 4 solid-ish leftovers that I had in my stash. And the pattern itself is called Löwenzahn, which is a German word for dandelion. And it is by Micha Klein. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. And the socks actually look like this. So this is the pattern. It is a lot of fun to knit, I have to say. It really is a lot of fun. But you have to think about what you're doing at all times. And that's what I don't like about it. So here they are. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I love them. I think they're super pretty. The dark gray with those bright pops of color and the, you know, the dandelion pattern. Really, really pretty. Really pretty. But yeah, it took me forever. I dug them out 3 days ago. Did I? 2 days ago. And I was on the first sock. Which is the first sock? This was the first sock. I was here right after the purple flower. So I finished that one. And when I came to do the toe, because, you know, I haven't been knitting socks a lot lately, I absolutely forgot how I knit my toe normally. So I knit something a bit different, and it looks weird. It looks really weird. But yeah, I just did the same weird thing for the other toe, and they do fit. You know, I basically knit my toe the way I do, but I did too many stitches in between the 2 decrease stitches. But yeah, it doesn't matter. The toe turned out a bit weird, and I did it weird consistently on both socks, so I'm good. So yeah, this one was the first sock. And then for the second sock, I decided to just continue with the striping because, you know, I had orange, blue, green, purple. And I stopped on the blue, so I started the second sock on the green and just continued it like that and did not make them matchy-matchy. But I love that. I think they turned out really nice. I have to weave in the ends, which is going to take a while because there's 2 ends for every bloom or for every flower. And I have 6 flowers. No, I don't have 6 flowers. I have 10 flowers per sock. So that's 20 ends plus beginning and an end of the actual sock. Makes 22 ends per sock. Yeah. That's not nice. But I actually don't mind weaving in socks. It's not my favorite thing to do. But I know that when I do that, after I finish, the thing that I made is done and I can wear it. So I'm just going to do it. This project lived in this project bag that I got in a swap with a German blogger and Instagrammer. So it's very pretty. And now I can use it again. So these are my things for knitting in the past. That's a lot. But I mean, the evenstar thing was already finished. I knit 2 rounds. It's not done doing anything on it. Knitting in the present. I have 2 things actively on my needles. Uh-oh. So, first up, I have another pair of socks. And I started these last week because I realized that whenever I have like 5 or 10 minutes of downtime, I'd pick up my phone and go on Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. And that adds up quickly. And I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore because it's not good for me. And I cast on this pair of socks. So this project bag is just a small pouch that my husband bought me on one of his work travel things. And I started shorty socks. The yarn I'm using is these 2 skeins of yarn. They are Regia Merino Extra. I bought these at the Coats fabric store. Not fabric store, factory store. I always do that. Because it's in Germany it's called Fabrikverkauf. And that's, you know, because factory is Fabrik and Fabrik is almost the same word as fabric. So I always mix those up. And so here's the labels. And yes, you do read that correctly. It's €2.50 a skein because I got them at the factory shop. And I'm knitting shorty socks for my sister for Christmas. So this is where I'm at. I have high hopes. So my sister has tiny feet and I'm knitting those for her. I have 2 sisters. So these are for my middle sister who has tiny feet. And when I'm done with this pair, I'm going to weigh whatever I have left and hope that I have a bit more than half left because that would mean that I can do another pair for my other sister. I would really like that and give them like sister socks for Christmas. But I don't know yet if that will work out. That is my normal sock recipe. I hope I can remember how to knit a toe when I come to it, but you know, the heel I did correct. I know that for sure. So It's 64 stitches on a US 2 2.75 millimeter needle, and just top down normal sock knitting. So that's that. The other thing is my project, or my first project for the Hohi Fall Cowl. And I'm knitting a shawl out of Interpretations book number 6, which is my least favorite of those, I have to say. But the shawl I really like. I am knitting the Evolve shawl. It's this one here. It's a 3-color fade. And I think this is the best pattern picture that there is. Yeah. I'll see if I can find another pattern picture, but I'm pretty sure that that was the best one. Here is another one. So this is the shawl I'm working on right now. And I have decided to knit this shawl out of sock blanks. I am using this project bag that I got gifted from a friend a few weeks ago. And I'm using sock blanks from Stranded Dye Works because I have quite a lot, because I was in her sock blank club that she did, I think twice. Back when sock blanks were all the rage, like 2 years ago. The first one is Koi, colorway Koi. This is her label. And I have started the shawl. So this is the sock blank. It looks like this. Like a koi fish looks, you know? And the shawl looks like that. I have realized now that I do not really enjoy knitting with sock blanks. Now what is this? There's a gigantic knot in here. I do not enjoy knitting with sock blanks because I do not like it when the fabric that I'm getting looks all awful. And it does with these. And I usually have quite the nice looking fabric when I knit. So what is this? Okay, here we go. So yeah, this is the shawl so far. It is very, very long, very narrow. And it does have a little pattern to it that you can barely see. But I looked at her pattern and she's using a speckled yarn for this bit, and you can't see hers really well either. So it's just a very, very lightly textured pattern. I'm knitting this on Goose US 6, 4 millimeters, as the pattern calls for. And that's all I have to say. So this is what I'm working on. It's super easy to knit, you know, really, really easy. And I've been knitting on it on and off for since September 1st, when the knit along officially started. So then I got distracted by the socks, but they are done now, so I can focus on this one again. I've been focused on projects lately, and it's interesting because I just normally don't do that. So that is the things that I have actively on the needles. For knitting in the future, I want to knit another UFO. I want to get things off my needles because I don't know, it feels good. I think that's the main reason. It just feels good to get these things off. And also, I started most of the things that I have on my needles for a very good reason, you know, and that reason is I want to have the finished object. So if I don't knit on the thing, I will never have a finished object. But I also have one new thing for knitting in the future. I am going to knit along with the BIPOC Make Along that started on September 2nd. And I have decided on my pattern and on the yarn that I'm going to use. So the BIPOC Make Along is hosted by Desamore Designs, and she's a crochet designer, and she's hosting it through her blog and on Instagram. There is a hashtag for it that I am not going to use for one reason. There's also prizes. And I think it's a very good thing to make along, you know, to knit along with that. But I do not want to win anything because I think that would be beside the point for me as a white person to win something in the BIPOC Make Along. So I won't be doing that. I will make clear that I do not want to get into the prize drawing because that just feels wrong. So I have decided on a pattern. Like I said, I am going to knit the Kaurangi cowl by Aroha Knits, which is the design company name from Frances Danois. And this is her cowl. It is gorgeous. It's a beautiful cowl with a nice pattern. There were a lot of pictures in this pattern, a lot more pictures, but I didn't print those. So here's another one where I can show pattern picture. And I decided to use this yarn, which is this midnight blue sparkly semi-solid from Sunset Stitches. It was in a club surrounding the Hobbit, and the colorway is called Sting for Bilbo's and later Frodo's sword that glows when orcs are near. So that's the sparkle. And it glows blue. So, you know, it's blue and sparkly. I think this is a very good match. I'm not sure yet if I can pull off this color, but if not, someone can. And so, yeah, I'm going to knit this, and I'm very excited for it. I might cast on today. I don't know yet. Because I just don't know. So that is that. Knitting in the future. Spinning. I'm still spinning. I've spun on 3 of my wheels, and I've brought one thing to show. So I spun on my Bliss when my mother was here, because she has bought herself a spinning wheel in the beginning of the year, and she just isn't comfortable with it yet. So she was here last week for a few days, and I told her to bring her wheel, and we set out both with our Bliss spinning wheels, and I showed her how to do things. And I have started something on the Bliss years ago, and I continued spinning on that, but I would have had to break it to show, so I didn't bring it. And I also spun a little bit on my Rose, where I'm spinning a 2-ply lace weight, which takes forever, and I just didn't bring that for the exact same reason, because I don't want to break that off. The thing that I did bring, however, is my second combo spin that I'm working on currently. And I showed these last time. I showed the bobbins last time. But then, so I filled them to like this stage, because I don't want to fill the bobbins too full, because I want to have an even number of bobbins. So I filled them up like this, and when they were all equal, I got out little baskets, 4 little baskets, and I divided up the remaining fabric into these 4 baskets. So this fiber, not fabric. This fiber needs to go on this bobbin for it to be done. And I have one completely done, and it looks like this. So this is the first one of my 4 bobbins that is completely finished. And the second one is on the wheel right now, and it's almost done. I have like 3 more strips of fiber. My camera is dying, which is not too bad because I have to change things. Anyways, so yeah, I am still working on this sweater spin. I want to finish it maybe tomorrow, because tomorrow I have knitting club in my house, and I can spin a lot when that's happening. So that is spinning. I don't have new stuff. It's a good thing, because I have a lot of stuff. Reading, listening, watching. Very long segment this week. So for reading, I am still reading The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, which is a pseudonym or a pen name for J.K. Rowling, and it is her Cormoran Strike mystery series, and I am reading the first book of that in German. I also brought stuff. Let's get out the things that I brought. I started a book that's called Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo-Lodge. And yeah, this is a hard to read book. I'm on page 36, and the first chapter is about history, Black history in England, slavery, and everything that comes with that. And that's just horrible to read about. You know, slavery is just one of the darkest chapters in human history, and reading about it is not fun, but it's important to read about it. So I'm reading this book, It just is going to take a bit because, you know, I cannot sit down and read through. I need to take my time with this and digest and think about and work with it. And yeah, I started this book. And because I like matching my books with my bookmarks, I'm using this Obama bookmark in it because I think he was amazing. He still is amazing, but he was an amazing president, as far as I can tell, which I'm far away. But, you know, you do get to know a lot of stuff when you watch the news and read up on things. So, yeah, this is what I'm reading currently. I'm also reading a new ebook, something, you know, completely different. I hope I did take a thing. I did. I'm reading Der Teufel im Detail by Felicity Green, which I'm pretty sure is a pen name for someone because it's a German book, and I'm pretty sure it's a German author as well. It's the first book in a new cozy mystery series, and it's called Die Highland Hexen Krimis. So it's taking place in Scotland in the Highlands. It's about witches and it's about crime. So I have no idea what's going on because the only thing I read so far is the prologue. So, you know, not a lot of knowledge there yet. I also finished 2 books. I finished the I have to take this out again. I need another screenshot. I finished A Problem in Paxton Park by J.A. Whiting, which is the 5th and so far last book in the Paxton Park Cozy Mystery series that is centered around Shelley and her friend Juliet. And it was okay. You know, it wasn't super special. It was just, you know, it was okay. So now that I have finished that series so far, I started the other one. And also I read another book. I finished this one. It's called We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And this is a, like, it's super thin, super small. It's a half an hour book, or an hour. Not half an hour. And it is the, what's the word? It is adapted. Here it says, in this personal, eloquently argued essay, adapted from her much admired TED Talk of the same name, she is, you know, has made this book. So this was a TED Talk, and she then wrote it down and added a bit more to make this little booklet. And I read it, and it is very much what I expected from it. It's very much aligning with what I think feminism is, which, you know, doesn't have to do with women not being allowed to wear high heels or be interested in fashion or wear makeup. It has nothing to do with those things. It has to do with men and women being equal and women being able to decide for themselves what they want without anybody else telling them what they are allowed to do or not. And yeah, that's a very nice and short essay about this. So I can just recommend you read this, or if you do not want to spend the money for this little book, go and search for the TED Talk on YouTube, because I'm sure it's there. So yeah, I read this. So these are the things that I have read. Now for listening. I finished listening to the, what's it called? City of Bones. It's the first book in the Shadowhunter series by Cassandra Clare. And I have read the first 3 books in this series, which were supposed to be a trilogy. But then, you know, it happened to be very successful. And she wrote another 3 books for the series. And I have not read those other 3 books yet. But I have read the first 3 in English, and I listened to it now in German. And so yeah, I've done that. I finished it, and then I started listening to The Fellowship of the Ring, which is the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien, which I love, if you haven't noticed yet. So I'm listening to it in German. In Germany, it's called Die Gefährten. It's the first book, like I said, in the series. It's an unabridged version, so it's going to take a while to go through. But yeah, I I felt like revisiting Middle Earth. For watching, I have watched lots of stuff again. I'm still watching a lot of Bake Off because my son loves Bake Off. He loves it. He comes up and says, Mom, are we going to watch Bake Off again tonight? And then he says, oh, can we try that? Or, oh, that doesn't look good. Or can we try this? So yeah, he loves Bake Off. And we watch a lot of Bake Off. I also watched a lot of the MCU movies because it's me. I love those. And I also brought one of them. So yesterday was the official release date for the DVD of Avengers Endgame here in Germany. And I got it delivered yesterday and I watched it yesterday. The thing is, this is it's a continuation basically of Infinity War. And I'd seen Infinity War only once before. So yesterday I watched, what did I watch? I watched Thor Ragnarok and Captain America Civil War in the afternoon. And then in the evening, I decided to sit down, watch Infinity War and Endgame back to back. And Endgame has 174 minutes, so that's 3 hours. And Infinity War is like 2 hours 38 or something. It's very long movies. So I ended up going to bed at 1:30 in the morning. But I had to watch it. I just could not watch it. So yeah, I'm now up to speed. We can talk about it now. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that's what I watched. My husband and I, we are watching Arrow right now because he hasn't seen it yet. And I know this is still in the packing, but it's on Netflix. And I do have the first 3 seasons on DVD because this is a show I want to watch over and over and over. And I really like it. I mainly like it because I love Felicity. She's just amazing. She is a lot like me. I like her. I'm not as smart as she is, of course, but I also say whatever comes to my mind and it gets me into trouble a lot, so I can relate to her. That's it for reading, listening, watching. Like I said, quite a bit. Now, sewing. I have tons of sewing. I cleaned my room. Not completely, as you can see, it's still a bit messy, but I cleaned it enough to have this table cleared off, and my way to the ironing board back there cleared off, and the ironing board cleared off. So I went downstairs a lot to sew, and it felt great. I totally forgot that I had coffee and now it's cold. Okay, so I'm going to show you the worst thing I made first. And I mean, it's the worst thing I ever made. Don't get me wrong, it's well made and it does look good. It's just horrible on me. And I put up pictures on Instagram of it to show off how horrible it looks because, there's too much fake perfection on Instagram in the crafting world. And yeah, I just wanted to show that not everything always works out. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this one. It felt like a good idea. It's a golden faux leather skirt. Not a good idea. Just not a good idea. I'm going to donate this because someone will love it. If you want to have it, it's yours. It is made for me and my specifications. And I think I have to check. I do have a list. Where? Wait, I can tell you. It is made to fit a 34-inch waist and a 45-inch hip. So if you have that and you do not have a tummy, that's important. If you do not have a tummy, but a 34-inch waist and a 45-inch hip, this can be yours. I have a little tummy, which is the one thing about myself that I hate. And in this skirt, it really shows. It's like there's a, one of those blinky light sign things pointing towards it and saying, hey, look, there's a tummy. So yeah, this is horrible. I did not hem the leather bit because I felt like this would make it look just clumsy and chunky in the bottom. It is fully lined with this goldenish yellow lining that of course is hemmed. and it has a not invisible zipper in the back because I just felt like this would make it look a bit more interesting. So I have this normal zipper in the back, and yeah, it just looks horrible on me. So yeah, like I said, if you want it, let me know. It can be yours. If nobody wants it, I'm gonna donate it. Someone will like it. It might be perfect for some weird 3CPO cosplay feminized Halloween outfit. I don't do Halloween or carnival, so I have just absolutely no use for this skirt. The thing is, I've made this skirt before, so I thought it's a safe thing to do it because, I've made the pattern before and I actually do quite like the other skirt. But this one is just horrible. It's horrible. And if you don't believe me, you can just go on my Instagram and scroll back to about 3 weeks ago and see for yourself. It is horrible. And then I got totally frustrated with myself and with my sewing. And I felt like I am just, unworthy and too fat and everything's horrible about myself because that skirt just turned out awful. And I didn't touch my sewing for a few days because I just felt so down. And I really had a few bad days after the disaster of the golden skirt. But then I decided, you know what? I will not let a faux leather, awfully golden skirt defeat me. So I got back to a dress that I had started that just needed to have a belt made, a hem, and buttonholes and buttons. And I already knew that it would fit because I had tried it on, it was done. So I took out the corduroy dress that I have made in March when I attended the sewing weekend. This is a Buddha style pattern from I think 2005 or 2006. It is in the original, it's made from denim and boucle, and I did it with needle cord throughout. So like I said, I needed to do the belt, and my problem was they wanted you to use a belt buckle without a the pokey thing. And I didn't have one of these. I used 2 D-rings instead to make this belt, and it works out fine. I had it to hem it, which I did. Just a double folded hem, like you would normally do. And I had already picked out the buttons and everything. And I didn't want to make the buttonholes because I was afraid that I would just, screw it up. This always happens to me. Whenever something needs buttonholes, I wait forever because I'm afraid to screw it up. And I totally screwed it up. So the top buttonhole, there is so much fabric here that my machine just couldn't do it. Well, for all of them, I had to just help the fabric along the way and make it. But it worked for all of them, except for the top one that I then had to fudge a bit. But yeah, it doesn't show because I will never button the top button because then I will just, choke myself. So I will leave that open anyways, and you can't see it. And then the next one was fine. When I cut them open, I put a pin, at the end of the buttonhole and then used the seam ripper to cut them open the normal way. And on the third buttonhole, this one here, I had a pin in, but when I got to the end of the buttonhole, my seam ripper just slipped a top over the pin and ripped further. So I did an inch long gash in here that didn't go all the way through, but just through the top layer of the fabric. And I had to just make that disappear. And you can totally see it. But it is what it is. I can't change that. And if you're staring at this, we're probably going to have a different problem because, this is right where my boobs are. So if you're staring onto this fucked up buttonhole, no, not good. Apart from that, this dress is perfect. It fits me so well. It looks great. I'm so happy with this. I think this might be one of the best things I ever made. And because I love it so much, I already took out fabric for a second version that's gonna have needle cord again for this bit, and a dark gray denim for the brown bit. And I have the buttons, I have the D-rings for the belt, I have everything ready to go. I just need to cut it out and make it work. So can I show you again? This is what it looks like. It's gorgeous, so gorgeous. And it looks like this from the back. I love it. I just love this. Yeah, one of the best things I ever made, I'm sure. So after that, after I made this dress and I had a success, I decided to go back and make a green dress that I had cut, I think in May. And after the golden skirt disaster, I didn't want to make this because I was afraid that it wouldn't fit me, that I had gained too much weight, because, you know, I felt like that was the problem, which it isn't, because I don't think I gained weight in a long time. So I just decided to just go for it. And I made a dress that I Frankensteined the pattern together. And it is this dress. It is very green when you look at it now. So I'm wearing this. When I'm wearing this, I put on a brown belt to break up the green. The bottom is a hollyburn skirt with the pockets and everything. No waistband though. Where the waistband should go, I attached this top part, which is from a peplum blouse pattern that, you know, had exactly at this point attached a little peplum and just fit together perfectly. I didn't have to change anything at all. I just had to make it. So I used bias binding for all of the edges. I put in an invisible zip in the back, and you know, you can't see because it's an invisible zip. And this fits great. It has a vintage vibe to it. It looks amazing. I feel very good when I wear this, and it's not too tight. It's not too loose. It's loose enough for me to breathe and eat, which are two quite important things to me. And I'm not a fan of super tight fitting clothes anyways. So, you know, I do have a bit of a waist, and I could show it off if I wore tighter stuff, but you know, food and air are more important to me than other people thinking, oh, look at her waist. So yeah, I made this dress. I'm very happy. It turned out great. It's just, you know, I don't know why I doubted myself on this, because I've made 10 hollyburn skirts and they fit. I've made this peplum blouse before and it fits. And I knew that the pieces would fit together. So I just, yeah. I don't know why I lost my confidence, but I did. So here it is, the green dress. It is amazing. The color is like a jade green, but not as pastel-y as it's showing up on my camera right now. It is a really nice green. So that is that. That's the clothes I made. I also made a little belt for my son, but he wears it today, so I can't show you. And then I made project bags. So I was sitting here in my room because I can now do that because it's clean enough. And I looked through things that I had cut, and I came across this bag here that contains a little backpack that I had cut the pieces for the outer backpack. And I still had a lot of that fabric left. Well, a lot, like a bigger piece. So I took that fabric out. And it is canvas from IKEA that I got from my friend, the Stitchionista. She used that fabric for, I don't know what. And she had left over. And she didn't have a plan for that. So she gave it to me. I cut that backpack. And then I used up every last bit of the fabric that I could and made 2 project bags with the largest pieces of fabric I could cut. And I cut the fabric, and it is actually a fabric. Let me see if there is some of the actual pattern on. Yeah, it is this white, black, and gray with oranges on. And they are oranges, you know? They're not just oranges, but they are actually orange. But the pieces that I had left over of the fabric didn't really have that on. So it was kind of boring. And I didn't like boring. So what I did was I drew on some straight lines randomly. And I did a super simple embroidery design in 2 different shades of orange. And this is what I came up with. So that's the first one. And it does have a tiny bit of the orange in it. So that is it. I did that embroidery. And the other side looks like this. The bottom bit is from a pair of jeans from my husband that has now been used up almost completely. I have it here. I've used this for project bags throughout the year, and this is what I have left. That's it. And yes, I was astounded when I saw this, but I think my husband pointed out that it might have been stonewashed to begin with, you know, the jeans. So that is the only bit that I can still use. And I probably will use that. So yeah, I used it again for this project bag for the bottom. I then used an orange zipper and orange fabric for the lining from my stash, because I also had the zippers in my stash. So I just, yeah, this was the largest possible bag I could make. And then I still had some leftovers. And I also had some leftovers from the jeans, you know, from the denim from the jeans. And I came up with another bag that ended up being quite unuseful for me, but it is perfect for a specific thing. Here it is. That's the other project bag. It looks like this, and it is not tall enough or not wide enough to put in a sock project. But what it is perfect for is as a spindle bag. So I am going to sell this one. It also has orange lining, a different one, and an orange zipper. The embroidery on it, you know, that's the orange bit of fabric that was there. And yeah, like I said, it is the perfect spindle bag. This will fit a drop spindle. It doesn't matter if it's a top whirl or bottom whirl or a supported spindle. What will not fit in here, unless it's tiny, is a Turkish spindle. You know, a tiny Turkish spindle will fit, but if it's a larger one, you can't fit it in. But a normal spindle, so if you're a spindle spinner and you have interest in this bag, make me an offer. We can work something out, because you can see back there, I have a ton of spindles, but I really rarely use them. So I have no use for this bag, but it turned out beautiful, if I am allowed to say that about something that I made. And I would love for this to be in someone's hands that would use it, you know? So like I said, orange zipper from my stash, fabric from the stash, and denim from my husband's old pair of jeans, and this hand embroidered IKEA canvas. Like I said, if you have interest in this spindle bag, please let me know, make me an offer. Probably send me an email, not an email, send me a PM on Ravelry or on a DM on Instagram. That would be easiest. So yeah, I made these 2. I'm going to keep the big one because that's a good project bag size. This one, up for grabs. I feel like this is a beautiful set, you know? But yeah, I have to break it up because I have no use for this. And then yesterday, I sat down and I made another little project bag. Oh no, it's not a project bag. It's a notions pouch. And as you could see on my husband's jeans, I took off the back pockets because I had an idea in my head. So I needed a gift for a friend. And I just felt like using the back pockets of those jeans to make a bag. And I did in the end. But this bag took so much longer than I really wanted it to take. This was supposed to be a nice, quick project. So I had a beautiful gift for someone, and it just took forever. So this is what the front looks like. So it's the back pockets, you know, I just seamed them together. But yeah, So the thing is, like I said, this is for a friend, and it was her birthday, and I had gotten this little tiny toadstool. It's a handmade wooden toadstool that I got last year when I was in Annaberg, which is in Erzgebirge, which I have no idea what the English name for is. But this is handmade, which is very what that area of Germany is known for, handmade wooden stuff. So I got that last year in October after my friend's birthday. And I thought, you know, I am going to use this for her birthday or for a gift for her sometime. So I had that. But I felt like just that would be a bit boring. So I spent quite a lot of time on the internet yesterday searching for an embroidery pattern for a toadstool embroidery. And I found one at embroiderydesigns.com, I think is the site. And then I thought to myself, well, I could embroider it onto the jeans, because jeans, you know, or denim fabric is perfect for embroidery because it is very sturdy. But this has that pattern to it, and I wasn't sure if that would work with the embroidery. So then I decided to look for, you know, a carrier fabric. And I dug out yellow fabric because yellow does not appear in the embroidery design. And so yeah, I embroidered this toadstool house with my embroidery machine onto yellow fabric, and then cut around and applicate it with my machine onto this back pocket. I adore this. I think this turned out so cute. I then looked for a zipper to put in on the top, and I used the exact same fabric that I used as the carrier for the lining. So what this is, it's a notions pouch, you know, it's a good notions pouch size. The opening is that big, and so the assembling was the hardest bit, because I could not just do this like I would normally do a project bag. So I had to put in the zipper by sandwiching it between the finished back pocket and the lining fabric where I had just folded the top down. So I sandwiched those and sewed it down, and did the same thing on the other side. And I stitched over the already existing stitching lines. So I stitched down twice on every side to make it really hold. And then I folded it down so, you know, it would look like this. But then I had to iron in the edges of the lining fabric that peeks through a little bit on the outside. And then also keeping the stitching in the, you know, existing stitch lines, I stitched it on, or I stitched everything together in one go around, or in two goes, because, you know, two stitching lines, and I wanted it to be really sturdy and secured. So that was not easy, because this is very thick up here. You know, it's 4 layers of the denim plus 4 layers of the lining plus the ends of the zipper. So I could only stitch until here and the rest. So, you know, this and up here and over here and down here, I had to hand stitch. So yeah, this bag took forever, but it turned out so cute. I kind of wish I made it for myself, but I didn't. I made it for someone specific, and I will give it to that someone tomorrow, I hope. So yeah, this is what I did. I used up the back pockets of my husband's old jeans and made a super cute notions pouch with a handmade wooden toadstool zipper pull. I'm really happy with this. I think this turned out amazing. But yeah, it took forever. And as I'm going to give this away tomorrow, I wanted to podcast today and wanted to show it because I upcycled the jeans, you know, for a very good reason. I didn't just cut them apart when they were good to donate, because they weren't. Because look, that was the problem. My husband's butt was showing. And I do like his butt, but I don't want the whole world to see it, you know. And he didn't either. So these jeans had to go. So I used them for this notions pouch, these 2 project bags that I showed, another project bag that I gifted to a friend. the bags, the EYF bags that I made for Erin and Isabel. And I'm sure there's at least 3 other bags that I used pieces of this pair of jeans for. So I had a lot of use out of this after my husband wore it for several years. So I feel great about this, about using this up, because I could not donate it. You cannot donate a pair of jeans where a man needs to fear his balls falling out. That's just not smart. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Really happy. So that is it for sewing. Like I said, it's a lot of sewing, but I just enjoy sewing again, and that makes me very happy. So on to everything else. Our next VKN is going to be next Saturday. That is the 14th of September, 9 p.m. Berlin time, like always. I'm going to put up the link in the Ravelry group. If you want to join the VKN, just click on the link and you are in. You've joined. That's all you have to do. I'm excited to do the VKNs again. I needed a break, and I'm happy to come back now. And the other thing, I talked last time about the classes that I stumbled across, and after a lot of feedback from a lot of people with a lot of different opinions, I realized that it was probably stupid of me, because like I also said in the article that I was interviewed for Spin-Off Magazine in 2017, maybe, I have no clue if I am the origin of this. I don't think I am, like every other technique that's out there. It's probably been out there forever. I'm just someone who put it on video, and I shouldn't be angry at people doing classes. The only person I should be angry at is myself, because I don't have the guts to offer classes, because I'm afraid that no one's interested in me teaching them anything. So I think that is the main reason why I was angry in the first place, because, other people did what I was too afraid of doing. And that whole thing got me into a thought process. And I came up with an idea. And I'm going to talk about this idea about teaching classes and, I almost said spreading knowledge, but that's a bit it's a bit too much, isn't it? Yeah, I have an idea of what I want to do with this, with my podcast and with my platform and with my teaching background, because I am a teacher. That's my job. So I'm quite good at that, I think. And I really would love to do something with it. And like I said, I have an idea. I need to work on that idea until it's, perfected, before I talk about it, because I don't want to talk about it before I can actually start doing it, because, I don't want to give other people my idea so that then other people can do it first. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm working on something, and I'm very excited for it, and I think it's going to be great. If it works out the way I want it to work out, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that as soon as I have everything finalized and, all the kinks worked out. And yeah, that is it. I'm excited for this new idea of mine. And I'm in a good place right now. In a very good place. So that is it for today. It's been a very long podcast. I know that. I'm sorry, but I had just so much stuff to talk about. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope to get back to you next week. Probably not. We know this. It's going to take about 10 days for me to reappear on the YouTubes, but that's how it is. I hope you all have a wonderful time, and until I see you again, enjoy everything you do. Bye.